Okay. So first question is, do you guys need somebody to explain to you? Okay. Are you wanting just like setup, or are you wanting Wacom tips, or what exactly do you guys need? You can go ahead and put it in the chat bar if you can't speak.
Go ahead and start with the basic settings, because yours,
Okay.
you figured out some things with the PC that I don't have a problem with on my Mac, and I was trying to help. Michael in particular
Right.
needs help.
That's exactly
So,
where I was
yeah.
going to go when nobody heard.
Yeah, so if you start with that and then just go from there.
That's where I'm going.
All right, sounds
I
cool.
apologize. I'm having a little difficulty hearing Miss Cate though.
Oh, is
Okay,
it?
hold on a second. I'll fix that.
Okay, sounds like, and if you continue to have problems hearing her, you will be able to pick it up on the recording because it's coming through for me, all right? So
Okay.
they'll still be the recording. Oh, that's much better, Cate.
Yeah, like I said, I just had to plug my headset in. I totally forgot that we were recording and everything, and so that was the problem there. And so I didn't have anything ready. Mad rush. Luckily, I still have everything. Okay. So obviously, when you plug in, if you've got Windows 10 and you plug in your Wacom, it's going to go through the finding drivers and everything. Mine has already found the drivers. That's why you're not seeing that screen here. But you will see these two little options pop up. Now, this is just letting you know that the touchpad is installed, and this one here is saying that there's the Windows Ink Workspace, which if you've ever used like, I think it's OneNote, I think is what it's called for Microsoft, you see the options where you have the pens, and yes, this is relevant. That's why I'm going to take you in and show you really quick. See, like that, I can draw that with my Wacom. That's why that's relevant, and that's why it says the little ink spot down here in the bottom right corner. And this is actually something that I drew the whole thing with my Wacom because I was just messing around and I wanted to see what I could do. And this was one of the designs that I came up with. So if you don't want to like type everything, but you want to write it out, you can use your Wacom to do that. That is an option. That is a default program that you don't need to do anything special with. Your Wacom properties, I have the Wacom Medium. The school, when you ask the school to provide the Wacom for you, they send you the small. And just a heads up, when I got mine from the school, I had to pay, the school charged me around $150 to $200. And if I'd have bought it direct from Wacom with shipping and handling and everything, it would have only cost me $80. So just a heads up on that. So if you want to get the school to help you, that's fine. At the time, I didn't have a choice. I needed their help. But if you do have a choice, you might want to look around for prices. I've heard various other things. You'll hear Nina call these the Wacoms, and they're actually Japanese words. That's why I say Wacom, because that's the correct pronunciation, but you can call it whatever you want. And again, they have different types. You can go on to like Amazon and just get drawing tablets. They have a whole bunch of different types there. This is the properties window. Yours is going to look different, like I said, because I have Pro Medium, but you'll still see, you know, some of the pen grip functionality. Now, what I have done on mine is the two clickers on the right or on the side of the pen, I've changed what they do in Photoshop. And once you get the Wacom installed, it's a good idea to open Photoshop. So you'll get this nice little thing here where it'll give you the option of customizing it for just general programs versus customizing it specifically for your Photoshop. So if you're going to use it in like Paint or OneNote or whatever, and you want it set up differently for each program, you'll have that option. My radial menu is pretty straightforward. It's just let's see, there should be one. Yeah, mapping. Nope, that's not it. We'll get there in a minute. But I'll show you the radial menu when we get there, and then I'll show you like all the different menus and stuff that you can put on here. And so that's what this is. This is gonna set your feel to like how firm you want it. So when you're pressing it, you know, on the tablet, that's what that's gonna show you. How long in between your double clicks it actually registers. So if you wanted it larger, you could go 1, 2, that would be a double click, as opposed to, you know, something else. And whether or not you want it right on top of each other, so you're like that, or if you want to like have it off to the side and have that count. So that's what all of those mean there. For the eraser, the one that the school sends you, you don't get an eraser. This is really freaking handy. So if you, when you can, I highly recommend that anyone at least get a medium, at least. Yeah, Amazon is amazing. And the Huron is one of the other tablets that they do have. I think I paid $320 for my Pro Medium because I got it while it was on sale. Normal price, I believe, is around $400 for mine. So just heads up on that one. Mapping, you always want it in pen mode, and you want the full area of the screen to be covered by the full area of the tablet. That means you'll get all the area of the screen where you can move everything to on your tablet. Now we'll get to precision mode in a minute, which is a little different, but you definitely want it in pen mode. So if you need to like click something differently, you can. So see, I'm just moving the mouse this way, but if I clicked and dragged, you know, that's what that would look like. And I'm not actually touching the mouse or the pad when I'm doing this. I'm just moving my hand over it. Sort of like you can move your pencil over your paper this way without actually touching your paper. Same kind of concept. Yes, double screen is tricky. I do not personally have a double screen. We will get to the ink box in a minute. And this, I'm specifically dealing with a single screen setup, not double screen. So if you know more about double screen, feel free to tinker around with that on your own. I know nothing about that. And then let's see, you can also click on options and it gives you more options. And just don't be scared to look around. I mean, this is your tablet. You're not going to screw it up. And if you can always come down here and click default in the bottom right corner. So it's okay to play with it. And then if you mess something up, you're fine. And see this again, I've clicked functions here. So this is taking me into what all the different buttons on the side does and all of that. And yes, it even gives me a battery to tell me how full it is. And the on-screen controls, this is where you can set up your own menus. These are my radial menus, or this is my radial menu. And then it's different options. So like saving it versus stepping back. I have a lot of my buttons hotkeyed. Let's see, in Photoshop, like the keystroke for export. The keystroke for export is like Shift Alt something something something. I honestly don't know. And undo is the same way. You've got to hit like 3 different buttons. So rather than deal with it, I just went ahead and Control Alt Shift W to export something. So rather than having to push 4 buttons at once, I just made it onto a hotkey onto my Wacom, and you're good to go. What I would recommend, since the one the school sends you only has 4 buttons, if that's what you're limited to, you need backspace, which, if you don't know the keystroke for backspace, Control Alt Z is a true backspace. There's a huge difference between undo and step backwards. So those two you got to be aware of. I would recommend undo, not step backwards. And I say backspace, but I mean undo. So I would recommend undo, repeat, save, and export, or open and export, or new and export. Those are your options. do the undo and the repeat on one side, and then export and something else on the other side, whichever one you want to do. Now, as far as the PCs, there was a problem that I was having with the ability or the programs that it has installed by default that allow the pen and touch to work. There's this one here where it's single tapping can be used as a right click equivalent. In fact, it's this one right here. Use the pen button as a right click equivalent. So whenever I was touching the tablet with my pen, I would get the right click menu. Regardless of what I was doing, that's what it would pull up. So I actually had to come in here and close that out. And you can look in here at all the different, options that you have here that you can play around with. But this one was causing me a huge problem in Photoshop, because when this was activated, like I said, it would give me the right, if you've ever been in Photoshop and right clicked, how you get that like weird brush menu. That's what I was getting all the time when I was trying to draw. That is not conducive to drawing. So you may have to come in and shut that off if you're having that problem, just FYI. As far as the ink box, the Windows ink box, that honestly to me is just very archaic, because it's kind of old school. It was designed originally for use with the mouse and clicking, but we can pull that up. Come on. Oops. No. Let's see, where is it? And the box. Yeah, it looks like they actually took it out in Windows 10 because it was just so weird. But I know what you're talking about. They used to have one, and it was like a square thing. Let's see if you want, I can find some pictures of it. Oops, I can't spell box apparently, but that's okay. But anyway, they would use this, and it was just, it sort of looked like that. That's actually a really nice one, and that looks like it's on a tablet, but it was just this weird box that they had. Like, it was, there's no other word for it. Like, that's what it was. It was a weird box. And it had, sometimes it had lines in it. You could change it to have graph paper background or stuff like that. And it just let you like play in it. You could write equations in there, and then it would automatically, whatever you wrote, it would convert to text, and then go in and you could copy it down or move it into whatever document you were working on and such. At least that's the only ink box that I'm familiar with. If you are talking about a different ink box, I'm not aware of what that specific one is. Yeah, you have to go set your control panel to small icons to find it. Otherwise, it's in category view, and it's like buried in some weird random, it's really crazy. Right. Yeah, they did me too, because every time I was trying to draw, like if I was trying to draw something like this, and we're just gonna work with this, and I'll go ahead and move that because I know you guys can't see it, but we're gonna unlock this, and we're gonna add a new layer to him. Come on, get out of my way. I know you guys probably can't see the little menu things that I'm moving around, but it's just your guys' chat and stuff. We're going to add a new layer here. If my computer will speed up a little bit. If it's lagging for you guys, I apologize. Oh, there we go. Maybe I just didn't hit the button. So what happened to me was when I was going like this on it, like trying to do soft sketches, what would happen is it would keep bringing up the other menu. And it really gave me a problem when I was doing lines and stuff. And it wasn't just when I would do, and I'll show you guys what I'm doing here in a minute, but it wasn't just when I would do regular lines for like rough sketches or anything. it was also when I would click and drag like that, it would give me the same right-click menu that prevented me from being able to really do anything. And yeah. Okay, so as far as like the pressure lines and stuff, what you can do in Photoshop is actually up here. You can allow the touch sensitivity, like depending on how hard you're pressing on the pad, to dictate how dark the line is. And I don't know why this is on a gray line. There we go. So if it's like light versus dark. And same with the flow. So like if you go really fast, it's like a really thin line, but if you push, it's like a thicker line. So that is also in there. And you can manually cap it to where like no matter how hard you press, you only want it to be 50% of your thickness. Well, there you go. So you can get that in there as well. Or, you know, you only want the opacity to go to like 38% no matter how hard you press. Well, there you go. You can do that. That means it's lighter when it's lighter, or when you're touching lighter, and then when you're touching harder, it's darker. So that's what all of that is. And we're going to trash that layer, and we're going to do another one. Nina can take you into specifics about colors and multiplying it and how to, you know, color faces and whatnot and all of that. That's not really what I get into so much as how to use like the blending. Nina's really good for coloring and drawing, but the blending and the fine points, that's kind of what I get into. So I don't know how much of this you guys are going to be aware of. Now, keep in mind when you're dealing with the Wacom, if you're holding your pen upright, like I am right now, then whatever you touch is going to be the tool that you're using on the tablet or on the screen, the drawing area, your board, so to speak. So like if I was using this one, then that's what I would get. You know, I'd get the funky whatever. Oh, it's not going to do anything now. Go figure. That's my luck. Oh, okay, whatever. Oh, I probably got the wrong one done. Anyway, so that's what this is going to be. And then let's see, which one is it? Undo. There we go. Hey, I remembered where it was. So as you can see this in this example, yes, it's pixelated because it's way bigger. And no, this is not one of mine, which is part of the reason why it's pixelated. This is actually given to me by a friend of mine, and I don't know like where he got it or anything. So what you can do to like clean this up a little bit, I know that, you know, you work with crap, you polish a turd, it's still a turd. These steps will actually apply to when you're working with, you know, finer stuff. You can change that there. If you have the circle or the ring, as it's called, when you on your Wacom, you can actually set it to where it will change your brush sizes. Like, I don't know if you guys can see that, but it will change the brush sizes, the rotation, cycle through layers, and all of that, depending on what I have. This is supposed to change my brush. Oh, there we go. It helps if I'm not. There we go. Yeah, see, that's really small, that's really big. So that is the ability, one of the abilities of having the bigger Wacom. I'm going to make this smaller because what we're doing is we're going to go in here and we're going to get rid of these lines up in here. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go to your smudge tool, which is the little finger, and if you hold it, you've got blur, smudge, and sharpen. Blurring does exactly that. It blurs it. Sharpen makes it more refined, and smudge just moves it all over the place. And then we can just use this to kind of lightly get all of this area the same shade without showing those pencil lines. Now, if you want pencil lines on your art, that is fine. If you don't, and you're just scanning it in to just have like a base to work with off of your paper drawing, that's fine. This is how you do it. And that can actually help you with the color contrasts and whatnot, and getting it to where it really looks like it's alive. And I'm just kind of going through here and just kind of trying to, oh, I guess it would help if I was on the right layer. There we go. Now it's doing something. Imagine that. Note to self, having it on the right layer helps. Oh my God. And then as you can see, this just kind of blurs it and smudges it around and just makes it look smoother. That's the entire point, is to just make it look smoother. So like if you want to keep a specific line somewhere, you know, you can work with that, kind of make your shadows where you need them, move things around. Maybe there's a little less light reflecting where you thought it was or something. Just play with it. Don't be scared, because you can always fix it later. You can always come back and change it later. I'm a very firm believer in the Bob Ross. There are no mistakes, only happy accidents. So does anybody have any questions so far?
I was just wondering, how are you smearing it like you did? Like, where did you go to smear it like that?
Okay, so like I said, when you're working with the tablet, you come over and you click the blur tool, or the smudge tool rather. This is it's the little finger. You want the smudge tool, and then you just touch the pin to the tablet and move it back and forth, and it smears it. That's a very good word. I like that word, smear. That's all it does, is it smears it back and forth. And you can do that with color. You can actually make some really nice colors this way. You can darken up an area if you need to. Like I want this a little bit darker out this way, so it really looks like it's fading in part of his skin and less of just this crown on his head. So see, and then I just smeared that out. How would you turn this into a cartoon? Okay, so with that, like this is obviously a very demonic looking face. So what you could do is just soften some of the lines, just smear the white maybe into it, make them a little more cartoony that way. I know that sounds weird. This is more for refining your cartoons, portraits, stuff like that. But you can definitely use it to make them, you know, less scary. Like if you wanted to like bow all his teeth, it would take you a minute to do that. But you could like make all of his teeth into like ovals at the end, and then, you know, take out the sharp edges on the side of his mouth, and he already looks more like the Joker there and less like a demon, at least in my opinion. Once you did that, you could ideally copy and paste it as many times as you need. What I personally do is I draw 7 or 8 different poses, so to speak, and then work from that and copy them as I need them, whether the person is speaking or looking a certain way or whatever. I adjust it from there. And so this is more of just refining it. If you want like doing cartoons and stuff, then that is definitely in the Nina realm. That's not really what I do. Well, I do make cartoons, obviously, but as far as explaining how to make cartoons, that's Nina. This is really good for colorization, though. And what I mean by that is not only do we have, you know, all these really good values going on and got it, you know, like you can with paint or with charcoal or whatever your medium is. Not only can we do that here, but if you wanted to add some color to it, like I say, I decided that I want this horn purple, then what we'll do is we'll go over to the paint and just click on the brush, put in some purple, if I can get this to stop, remember how I said it, there we go. Put in some purpling. Oops, I guess it helps when I do it the right way. Yeah, I do have it in color. And I did this one time, I had it stuck on black and white and I could not get it out, and Nina had to explain to me how the heck I got it into black and white, and I was stuck there, and it looks like I did it again. And it has to do with, you would think I would remember this. Nope, everything's on normal. What it was last time is this was like on a different one, and I don't remember which one it was on. But yeah, it looks like it's still up there and doing that again. But it's supposed to be on normal. Sometimes it does that to me, and I get stuck. This is like the one thing I have continuous trouble with, because I work with black and white so much that I totally forget how to switch it back to color. But let's go ahead and go File New, and we'll do it that way. Just new is fine. No, this was actually done all on the same page, and it was actually done on paper first and then scanned in. So it was all the same page, and then I'm just using it as an example. It was a friend of mine that did it, and I did not personally make that drawing.
Thank you.
So please do not, yeah. So please do not say that, you know, it was, it's like, no. Yeah, oh yeah, probably. But, so like if we wanted to have, let's make this brush bigger. Yeah, I thought I said that once before, that one of my friends got it and I didn't know where he got it from. But I can tell by looking at this long enough that, you know, it's definitely paper that was scanned in. Let's see. There's that. Also, when you're doing it big like this, you notice those bubbles. That is in the spacing part. And now that's in my way again. So if I were to turn the spacing down, that's going to make my lines way smoother. It also takes them a little bit longer to draw, as you can see there, but that's okay. And now it's going to think while it finishes coloring that out. Yeah. So sometimes having the smoothness on will affect the speed of your drawing, but that's okay. So I'm going to turn down the spacing just to make it a little bit faster, because we don't need it perfectly smooth for what I'm about to show you. This was something that the first time I ever drew with this and I showed people like what I was doing, everybody went crazy for it. So hopefully you guys will like it too. And it's sort of the same thing with black and white, except obviously we're using colors. So let me go ahead and get that, and we'll make this a little bigger. And oh, nope, it's gonna be a brat. Well, it gives you a really slow motion of what it's doing. But as soon as that's done, I will adjust that so that doesn't happen. Sorry about that slow motion there. But as you move it, it does mix the colors. It mixes the yellow and the red back together. And you do get this really nice kind of gradient. You got to do it a little bit. And if I can get this fro out of the way. Come on. Yeah, my computer is just wanting to show you guys very slowly for some reason. So I apologize for that. That was not planned. This should be under here. And turn down the spacing just a little bit. That'll probably help. And not so big of a brush will help. So what we'll do to counteract using a smaller brush is we'll zoom in. Because you'll find that if you're using a larger brush over a larger area, it'll take longer. But if you zoom in and use a smaller brush, you get the same effect, but it's not as hard on you. See. So there we go. And shrink that down. That'll be fine. And then you'll find that it, like I said, gives you this really nice gradient. And actually, when you zoom in, you can see it a lot better. So if you want to go like farther with it, you can get the red going. And I'm keeping the brush down the entire time, or the pen down the entire time. I'm not lifting up the pen in any way. I'm just going back and forth over this area. And the reason I'm just kind of making these spikes is it's going to help me blend it together more. You can leave it like that if you want, or you can come this way and kind of blend it out more. And it gives you this really nice smooth gradient when you're done. It does take a little bit of time, and you might have to do it a couple of times, but you end up with this really nice smooth gradient. And I absolutely love doing it this way, just because it's really fun to just be able to get onto your picture that you've worked hours on and then just scribble the hell out of it. It sounds like, oh my God, no, but seriously, it's really fun to do. I definitely recommend saving your picture before you scribble all over it. Like, you don't want to be scribbling it and then find out, oh my God, you scribbled the wrong thing. So save it first, then change the name, save it again, and that way you're only messing up with the copy. You're not actually going to ruin the drawing that you spent hours making. And then once you're satisfied with it, you can zoom out and let's see if we can get it to work right. And then you got this kind of smooth area. And obviously, depending on, you know, how many pixels per inch you have and all of that will dictate how much you need to really blend it. I mean, I can keep working with this until this is like really fine. And as you can see, the brush size is pretty small for, you know, the area as a whole, but, you know, changing the brush size works, and you just keep working with it and it smooths out. I do have, there's another video that I will give to Nina the link for it, and she can send it out if anybody wants the link. Then she can send that out with you. And it's a Lady Devimon that I was asked to smooth out all the colors on the wings and everything. And I went in and really made those shine. So that's a really good example of what you can do with the blurring tool. And again, that's all I'm using is just the smear tool or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, smudge tool. So smudge, smear, blur, whatever. But it is important to note that this is not the blur tool, because if I wanted to blur it, that would be this one, and it just makes it look really fuzzy. And contrary-wise, sharpen would go the opposite way. Get this bigger. Come on. Oh, now you're going to act up. Sharpening it would make it very sharp, and you would be able to see like all the details. And if you go too bad, it starts looking kind of like spray paint, which is actually kind of fun if you want to go for that effect. You know, it has a nice effect too. So don't be afraid with your Wacom, especially, to go ahead and get like 3 or 4 colors, line them up, and start playing with them, and just see what you can come up with. You're not going to break anything, and it's better that you know what you can do as opposed to get halfway into the class and everybody's figuring stuff out and you're still going, what am I doing? The file size is 81 megabytes. Yeah, that one, the other one is, and that's why I said, you know, it was just here, it was thrown on, it wasn't specific or anything, it was just what I had on hand. And that's why when I go file open, it's like, oh, not that one. Or when I first popped it up when we first started class, it was just one of the ones that was there and I clicked it. It wasn't that I specifically got out and got it for you guys. But so are there any other questions yet? No? No questions? Okay, then I'll show you some other stuff that has to do with the smudge tool. There's this finger painting option up here at the top that I'm really fond of. Oh, I cannot think of it. Oh, yay. Yay, that's always good. I like covering issues for people. Like, I don't like people going, well, you didn't tell me this. Well, tell me what it is so I can cover it and we'll do it. So the finger painting tool. I don't know how many of you have had children or seen children finger painting. Kind of the same concept. You click finger painting, you select your color. You put your mouse down, oh look, there's the color, and look, I'm moving it out. And now I've changed this color and I'm dragging it across. Obviously, because the brush is so big, it's going to take a minute. We already went over that. So you can fix that by zooming in and not using such a huge thing. I just grabbed my default that I use the most because I usually am doing covers for books for people. That's what I do the most in here, and that's why a lot of my stuff is for like portraits and stuff, because I do custom book covers for people. Let's see here. So that should work, and then we'll go back to the blur tool and shrink this down, and I think we'll move over here now. So when you do it, you're still using the smudge tool, but now you're bringing in this other color as well, and you can make some really nice designs doing that, because not only is it going to drag this ink around that you've got on your brush, so to speak, but you're also going to be blending it in with the colors that are in the background. And that's why I like using neon colors for demonstrations, because they're really pretty to look at. Kind of get like a little wildfire thing going on or whatever, you know? And then if you want to come back, you know, however long you want to make it, like I'm still dragging all these colors everywhere. I'm not dragging with a brush anymore, or as far as, you know, dragging the color itself around, so much as I'm still blending with the brush. So you can make these like really nice colors and, you know, kind of give really good fire effects this way, and, you know, really get it going. You know, just have fun with it. And that's the number one thing for me. It's just like, have fun. You know, you're students. Now is the time to mess up if you're going to mess up, you know. And like Nina said, you know, I used to be in her class and I'm sure I was a nightmare, but, you know, you can just do things. You can create. You guys have got like a wealth of knowledge at your fingertips. You know, not just me, but Nina, all your teachers, YouTube. I mean, this is really a good time to really get into this stuff. And then when you zoom out, if you want to see what it looks like if you get used to working this fast, what you should really do is zoom out and see what you've got at a distance. Get yourself a view of what you're looking at. For the context menu issue. Context. So what do you mean by context menu? Like the right click thing, that issue? Yeah, local libraries are indispensable. My library, I live in a small town. I don't know if anybody knows where Halloween Town is, but I live like 8 miles from there. So I live in a really small town. Yeah, okay, that is the right click issue. And I think one of my videos I did actually do something for it, but yeah. In fact, let me see if I can pull up, I'll give you the one for the link for the other video if I can find it. Pretty sure I put it on here. I do other videos as well, so if you don't see the weeks on here, if you're just looking at, you know, titles or whatever, that's because I do music videos. I did all the cover art or all the cover pictures that you see here, those I've all done in Photoshop and stuff. And that's what you're gonna see when you go to my profile. If you want to find like the blending one, which is the one I'm going to give you guys the link to, if you want to see that specifically, then the one you'll need to get the link specifically. And yeah, I just colored it in really quick. Copy. And I won't make you guys watch the whole thing unless you want to. I can leave it on here if you guys want to watch it. But it's just fast forwarded, and yeah, it's just really quick. And the video itself is only like 1.5 minutes tops, so enter. There we go. But I think that's everything. Like, does anybody want like something specific or have any other questions that I can ask? I realize it's not like a huge thing, but sometimes the smallest things, you know, can make a world of difference. Illustrator. Yeah, I know I hate the program. I realize that doesn't help very much. But Illustrator and me have a very sordid past. I've tried to use it a few times. I think I actually don't even have it installed on my computer anymore because I hate it so much. Let's go down here. Yeah, I don't even have Illustrator installed. The problem that I had with Illustrator was every time that I tried to, that was one of the problems. Like if I tried to do an effect with the lettering, if I tried to change anything, or if I tried to, you know, draw or whatever in Illustrator, it always came out very boxy. A lot of people are like, oh, vectors are awesome. And yeah, no, I cannot stand, I like the concept of vectors, like being able to draw something and changing the shape and whatnot. I like the concept of it, but in practicality, it's actually very hard to use. It's blocky. I don't know how to explain it, Like if you've ever been an illustrator and had the problem with the lines where you've got like 2 anchor points and you're trying to move your lines and all you were trying to do was like draw a person's face, and the next thing you know, you've got like the lines and it's like all screwy. Yeah, that's why I hate vectors. That's why I hate Illustrator. Like I can't just come into like here. I can just come in here. I can pick whatever color I want and just go, oh look, I have an eyeball. Congratulations. But if I tried to do that in Illustrator, then it's going to give me, the second I go like that, it's going to give me like all these other anchor points, and it's going to be making me want to like move it all over the place and stuff. It's crazy. Yeah, they're not organic looking at all. But I can help you with texting. I can help you with lettering in here, in fact. So what you can do is you can come in here and we'll change the size. I'll make it like 200 so you can see it. Because like I said, I know that this is a huge, I'll go, oops, gotta go back down to this and go, okay, I should have done that first. Put yourself, write the text, then deal with it. Okay, let's try that one again. Okay, that's better. So now I can move this around if it'll let me, but I still got this. There we go. Hello. Apparently spelling is not important in art. So I'm going to change the color to, let's say, green. You can see that on all of them, it looks like. Yeah. Oh, go figure. So it's always important to click OK when you change the color, so the color actually changes, just so you know. And important advice there. Always make sure you click OK. So once you get it like that, you can actually click 3D text, and it takes a couple of minutes for it to actually change. And then you can just switch to that. And once it gets done, you'll get this really nice 3D visual like this with this graphic, and you can move it up, down, you can move out here and rotate it. You can spin it towards yourself, you can move the center down, at least if you're smarter than me, and see how I've got it drop down there, so I can move it forward or back, and you can really make it accentuate, and you can do like all kinds of stuff. I'm not an expert with the font, as you can see. There we go. So you can change where the lighting source is coming from and whatnot. It'll take a minute to process that. But yeah, you can really change it to like be however you want. You can just sit here and play with fonts for hours. I think I've only successfully done it for one book, and then after that I was like, yeah, that was way too complicated, so I haven't done it for any other books that I've been commissioned for. But it is possible to do. You've got these options up here that, you know, change how you view it. So if you wanted to do it that way, you know, you could get it going the other way. You could rotate it however you need to. There's really not much you can't do. You just got to play with things. So what is an organic drawing? Okay, beautiful, beautiful question. That one I can definitely answer. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up something new. We'll start just by a quick thing. When people say, oh, I have organic oranges, just for the record, so everybody's on the same page with this, organic oranges just means that it has carbon in it. That is the term organic. So for drawing, that does not necessarily mean that you have to draw with carbon. You can. That's like organic drawing. But as a general rule, when something looks organic in drawing, it's smooth, it's creamy, you know, it can be leafy or whatever. That's an organic drawing, something simple. If it was inorganic, it would be more like, come on, oh, there we go. There. There's not really any flow to it. It's very boxy. It's well, obviously it's not a perfect box because I'm using a round brush, but I could use a square brush to do that. Get the same effect that way. And just, it's not normal. It's just weird and awkward. Whereas this one is very smooth, it's flowing. That's the difference between organic and inorganic drawing, in my opinion. I'm sure there are people that can write whole dissertations on it, and you know, they'll argue like Leonardo versus Botticelli or whatever, which I think is actually a musical person, not an artist, but you get my point. So, any other questions? Yeah. Yeah, if you wanted to be, I wouldn't use the word morbid. If you wanted to put it in another way, that would definitely be internal organs versus angular. And again, you know, Nina gets into a lot of that if you've ever seen some of Nina's organic works versus some of her inorganic works. And what I usually do, or how I differentiate them, if it's organic, meaning if it's grown, then I would say that that's an organic artwork. So like leaves, grass, people, you know, all that kind of stuff would be organic. You know, it's very natural, it's in its natural state. Whereas for me, inorganic or blocky drawings are more like swords, armor, you know, stuff like that, because you don't find swords shaped like this one here. But if I go, okay, this is how long I want my sword, and now I got to put my blade in here, and it's going to go like this, and then I'm going to have this one, and then I'm going to take this out if I get a bigger, only if I get a bigger eraser, which if any of you play World of Warcraft, you're going to recognize the sword very quickly, but that's beside the point. And come on, there we go. You know, now I've got my blade and my sword and everything like that. But this would be like a very blocky, inorganic thing to me. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Left is what you can do for Photoshop versus what you can basically do in Illustrator. And that's one problem that I have with people that are like, oh, Illustrator is so much better. Well, it depends on what you're doing. If you're trying to draw in this format, oops, wrong one. Let me do that. There we go. If you're trying to draw that, yeah, you're not going to be able to do that in Illustrator. There's no way. But if you're looking for something like this, then you can totally do that in Illustrator, at least in my opinion. If you can do this one in Illustrator, by all means, I beg you to talk to Nina and do a video or a class like this for her, because I would love to know how to do that. But yeah, yeah. That was the other thing. Like I found like a bunch of shapes over there, but I was like, nah, that's just not drawing, not for me. I don't think I have any of my personal artwork actually up on here right now. I've done some figure drawings and stuff, but they're not on here right now. Where was I going? I was over here, wasn't I? Yeah. There we go. But yeah, so that's how you do the font, and that's like the difference between organic and inorganic and Illustrator and all that. And if you guys want, you know, we can go ahead and watch the other video, or you can go watch it and then come back, or, you know, whatever. We can hang out until Nina wants, or you guys can be done. And I'm going to be here for a minute longer, just kind of tinkering and refining some stuff. So if you want some help or got questions, feel free to ask, or just watch me, whatever I'm doing, because I want to play with this one a little bit. Just I was having fun with that one. Dang it. Yay, Nina's back. So if anybody wants to go do that, you can't draw that on paper. So some people can, some people can't. I know this one was. I probably couldn't either, but like I said, this isn't mine, so I'm not worried about it. It changes, you know. It's different for every person. Everybody has their own skill set. There we go. Skill set. That's the word I was looking for. And when Nina is ready, I will go ahead and hand this back over to her, or she can take it away from me, or however you want to do it, Nina. Just let me know. And I'm going to play, right. I'm on the wrong one. Yeah, I got back into 3D. That's why it's not letting me in my layers. Somewhere around here.
Were there any questions about what you were doing that you couldn't answer that I might be able to?
Oh, yeah. The only thing was I got myself stuck in the black and white again. And this time it says normal up here.
Did you get?
Yeah, but it says normal.
No. Go up to. No. You see your file is actually gray. Go to image and adjustments. No, mode. I'm sorry. Go to image mode.
Okay.
And
grayscale. There we go.
RGB. Yeah. See.
Yeah, there we go.
Up in the menu bar.
Thank you.
Well, you canceled it, so it didn't do it. Up in the menu bar, you see how it says it'll tell you what it is. So you don't want to merge it, I don't think, do you? Well, no.
Oh, I don't care. I'm just.
Oh, you don't care. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
no, it was just an example, so it's good.
So lots of times
I lost my smudge tool on this one.
You lost it?
Yeah, I lost it. I'll find it again.
What do you mean you lost it?
I mean, I can't find the smudge tool over here. I lost it.
Wait a second. Let me, don't go away yet. Come back. Let me see if I can help. All right. So the actual tool itself went missing?
Yeah, I'll find it.
Should be under,
yeah, I probably just hit the wrong button or something. It happens. I do that a lot, you know.
Or you know, the other thing you can do that's really easy, if you lose something that you want to get back, you can reset your workspace. Are you using 3D on purpose?
Yes.
Okay. So no?
There we go. That's what it was. Oh, because I remember. So we were on this one, and I was showing them how to do like 3D with the lettering on this one.
Okay.
And so that sent the entire block of Photoshop. So every picture that I had open, it sent it all to Photoshop, or to 3D rather. So that's why it lost the blur tool, because I know that you can't do blurring in 3D. It doesn't let you.
Okay, so all you have to do then is reset your workspace.
Right.
And it would come back.
Which I forgot how to do it.
And you know, you can make up your own workspace. Who's yelling in the back? Is that yours?
Oh, sorry, my uncle is.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You can set up however you like your Photoshop to be, and you can actually save that workspace to be your very own. So under workspace, you can create a new workspace and then call it whatever you want and save all your menus, shortcuts, and toolbar. And that way you can have it set up exactly the way you like it. And then if you screw it up, you can just resave. You can just reload your own workspace, which is a pretty handy thing to have. Yep. Were there any other questions? Oh, the Illustrator is a different thing. The other thing that you might want to consider doing is when you're coloring something like this, especially with a Wacom, if you turn this into multiply layer and then put a new layer underneath it, you can actually color under, let's see, you can color underneath it, and that's a dark color, but the black lines still show up because it's on an overlay.
Yeah, see, that's what I was talking about. I said that Nina could show us how to do the coloring and keep the line. How'd you open my settings?
Because I did the Macintosh version for changing the hue and saturation, and it's
right.
the keyboard
You forgot that you're on
reacts.
a Windows.
Yeah, I forgot I was on a Windows thing, so I can lighten this up a bit.
Yes, for those wondering, Nina is playing on my computer right now.
Yes, I am. So you can definitely, if you put this on as any black and white drawing or any line drawing that you have that you want to color, but you don't want to color over the drawing or worry, you want the black lines to show through, then you can always do an underlay. You can turn that into a multiply layer and then color over it, and that's kind of cool. Another thing that's kind of fun to do, like this is really crap, but I'm not using my tablet. Another thing that's fun to do with layers and coloring in artwork is that you could do another layer on top of that and say put like I want to make shadows on his teeth, so or something like that. Say I could put a shadow right here. And then let's see what else would be a good place for shadows. Maybe shadows here, maybe shadow under his chin, or casting a shadow on his shoulder from whatever. And then you just, instead of trying to make the shadow perfect, you just actually play with the opacity of that layer so that you can develop shadows without having to worry about picking exactly the right color to make a shadow on something. So that's always a fun thing to do. So, did you guys get a lot of good stuff out of it then? Everybody happy? Everybody tired? You guys still want to draw? If not, I think I would like to go work on my lovely grades, and we could have another.
Oh my God, you're actually going to grade?
I have to, yeah.
I know you hate that.
Yeah, I do hate that. It's even worse now. But let me turn off the recording so I don't incriminate